Jordan, whenever you're set, go ahead.
Hello everyone, I'm Jordan. During the first lecture this semester, I talk about the Texas holding, and today I still want to talk about Texas holding, but I want to show you guys on the real world Texas game between Tom Wong and Sapphire, and I will teach you guys the basic strategy of Texas holding. So first I will show you a chart. This chart is important. This chart shows you guys what hand you can play in what position. You see the green area shows the hand you cannot play in any position, and the blue area shows the hand you can play in the late position, and the yellow area shows the hand you can play in mid and late position, and the red area shows the hand you can play in any position. So for me personally, I like 8, 9, 10 shooting hand in early position and late position. Let's step into the real world game. You see, this guy on the Sapphire, the guy named Sapphire used a queen offsuit raised about 2,000, and Tom Dwan, this guy, called 2,000 with 6-8 suited in the late position, and that's it the flop. And usually for me, I like to use 6-8 in the late position as well. You see the flop, the guy Sapphire hit the top pair in the flop, and Tom Dwan has a backdoor flush draw and backdoor straight draw. And the guy named Sapphire raised about 5,000. That's a continuation bet that's necessary, but the size is too big. It's a mistake, and Tom Dwan call. That's the turn. It's a 10. It's nothing to do with two players. Sapphire still has a top pair queen, and Tom Dwan still has a backdoor flush draw. And the guy still used continuation bet about 12,000. That's still too big. It's a mistake. Tom Dwan, this guy will find out something is weird, and that's the river. The river is a deuce. It still has nothing to do with two players, and Sapphire lock on the game with top pair queen, and Tom Dwan basically lose the game because he didn't hit the backdoor flush draw. And for me personally, I will fold the hand or check to the opponent based on the situation, but it depends on your opponent characteristic. Telling a great story in Texas holding is really important. You see, Tom Dwan in the late position didn't show any information to his opponent. He called 2 times, and his opponent raised 2 times. And Tom Dwan know anything about his opponent, his information, anything. And let's see the river. In this situation, Sapphire should make a mistake, big mistake. He should raise, and he check. And then Tom Dwan raise to all in. In this situation, there are 2 possibilities that Tom Dwan raise to all in. First, he's bluffing, and second one, he has something like straight. And even though the guy have top pair, but he couldn't catch him because it's too much. So what I'm trying to say is Texas holding is really attractive. I couldn't teach you guys anything in 3 minutes, but I'm trying to tell you guys that Texas holding teach me a lot. It tells me how to think logical way and how to add logical way, and even in your daily life, it's really important. No matter what you happen, you have to think logically and add logically to solve the problem. So this is why I like Texas holding. Thank you.
Wait, so after he went all in, did he end up folding?
Yeah, fold.
Oh, yeah.
Ron is the
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Sam, are you set with that?
I'm gonna write. Can I write?
Yes, Jordan actually has to leave now, so if you don't mind, even a quick, or just leave it blank so I can give him something to go with. Thank you. You didn't know that. Okay, so Nick, you're up next as reviewer.
I am the reviewer right now.
Exactly, that's what I mean. Coming right now. Next when Isabel's ready. Yes, thank you. Sorry. Jordan, you're fine. Sam is going to give you his sheet in a minute. And then do what you. Great, thank you very much. Okay. You're in standby mode waiting?
Yeah.
Okay, so just to double check, Nick, you're all set? right now? Excellent. And whenever you're ready, Isabella.
Alright, so my presentation is on joining Greek life, a little bit about what it is, and my personal experience here at Syracuse. So when I was a senior in high school, there were a few things that I was looking for when searching for my ideal college, and that was I had to make sure it was a medium to large size class, D1 sports teams, and of course, Greek life. I was all about having the traditional college experience, and that included tailgates, and of course, being involved in a sorority. Now, when I think of a sorority, there are a few things that come into mind. One, the top picture, opening up the doors, girls in your face, chanting, screaming, a little freaky, but it's true. And the second picture, which are girls in the recruitment video, just looking beautiful, effortless, and enjoying sisterhood bonding. Now, my dream in joining a sorority started when I was in high school, and I thought it'd be super cool to walk around in letters and going to frat parties, but honestly, it's a lot more than just that. I didn't really know what to expect when I was going through the process, so I didn't even really know what recruitment was. And basically what recruitment is a formal process in which sororities find new members to join their chapter, and in any given year, a lot of girls typically want to join sororities, and there are plenty of sororities on campus for girls to join. And what recruitment, for some people, could either be a nightmare or a masterpiece, depending on who you talk to. Now, although it is very different throughout different schools, it's roughly the same process nationwide. So, to make this process a little less tedious, recruitment is divided into different structured rounds that take place over the course of several days. So during each round, potential new members, also known as PNMs, visit fewer and fewer each houses each day and talk to different girls so they can kind of get a sense of what the house is and if girls will extend bids to other girls. Now, when I was going through my process here at Syracuse, I was running from Walnut to Comstock, back and forth, fell in the snow a few times, but I ended up making it. But there were also constant thoughts that ran through my mind, like, are they gonna like me? Is my outfit cute enough? Or what if I run out of things to say? Luckily, I managed to get through the process and made it out okay. Now, as the week went on, I got my bid, and when I went to the house, I didn't really know anyone, and it was very awkward and kind of overwhelming. I felt that I almost made the wrong choice. I didn't even know if I wanted to be in a sorority at this point. I also thought about dropping out, but as I decided to go on, wait a few weeks through different sisterhood events, bonding, and philanthropies, I found out that this was the place for me. My sorority pushed me to be the best person that I could be. I also was pushed out of my comfort zone. I was in an experience where I didn't know anyone, but now that these girls, I found them, they're my sisters. My sorority prides themselves on being yourself, and with so many different girls from all around the country and all around the globe, my sorority became my home away from home, and I decided that I would stick with it. And I can now share these memories with my sisters for the rest of my college career and beyond. So, thank you.
Okay, Jason, good, thank you. And you'll review Jason? Okay, terrific. By the way, remember, you don't have to stay behind the podium when you do this. Actually, I thought when you stepped out, it was much better.
Oh.
You became more you, and it was right. If it's on auto, there's nothing you need to do back. Maybe you feel like you have notes or presenter view, or I mean, I get that if that's what you're trying to do. But I think you'll find the less you're behind the podium, the better you're going to come across to your right.
Oh,
Pressure just amped up now. Who's going to have them eaten out of their palm of their hand? Whenever you're ready, you go.
Alright, good evening class. My name is Jason Chill, and today I'll be talking about one of the most controversial topics in sports history. Most of you know LeBron James as one of the greatest basketball players to ever play the game. Others compare Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan to him, but I think he is the greatest to ever play the game. A little bit about his early life. He grew up in a pretty poor neighborhood, didn't really have much. His father wasn't there for him. His mom really wasn't there for him either. He attended St. Mary's St. Vincent High School, where he dominated competition all throughout his high school career. And he did not attend college either and went straight to the NBA draft, where he was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers for the 3rd overall pick. This is one of the top draft classes in NBA history, consisting of players like Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, Carmelo Anthony, and many others. He went on to have an outstanding rookie season. He earned rookie of the year that season, and really led his team to a great season that season. LeBron James captured his first NBA title with the Miami Heat in the year 2011, where they beat the Oklahoma City Thunder, consisting of arguably the top 5 basketball players in the NBA right now. Kevin Durant, Russell Westbrook, and James Harden. They beat them 4-1 in the best-of-7 series. He went on to win his 2nd championship the next year, defeating the San Antonio Spurs, where they arguably had 3 future Hall of Fame players, Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili. They beat them in the best-of-7 series, 4-3, and that was a very exciting series, and this really defined his career. And then his most defining career moment was 2015, where they defeated the Golden State Warriors. They were down 3-1, and all hope was lost, but LeBron really stuck to the game plan, and they beat the Warriors in 7 games, 4-3 at Royal Arena, and this was really his career-defining moment. A little bit about LeBron's career stats over a 16-year career. He averaged 27.2 points per game, 7.4 rebounds per game, and 7.2 assists per game, shooting an outstanding 50.4% from the field. This is pretty incredible. He's maintained this throughout his career. Even as he gets older, he still continues to dominate. So as you can see, I have LeBron, MJ, and Kobe. This is really the debate of what everything is. 3 greatest players. But I really think LeBron stands out because he's able to play every position and dominate and just do everything, I think, in a just better way than these 2 players, in my opinion. And that's why he's able to stand out. LeBron has a tattooed on his back called the Chosen One. He was given that nickname when he was little. And overall, I think just LeBron, the way he plays the game and just maneuvers himself around the court, it just stands out in a way that I don't really see comparing to MJ or Kobe. And really that's why I think LeBron is considered the GOAT of basketball.
Okay. Ethan, up. Felipe, get your reviewer sheet ready. Isabella, I know that will go away very soon. Thank you. Did I put sneezes with gusto as a rubric item? I'm trying to remember for this one. Are you set?
Sure.
Well,
Let's do it.
what are you gonna phone home or something, or Skype with the family as we go through this last one or
Make it
something?
stretch first, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, I never should have opened that door. We are ready when you are.
Okay. So, hi, I'm Ethan Russo. I'm specifically talking today about Barcelona's top attractions. I personally think the best, most attractive city in the world. On the right, we see Spain on the bottom left of Europe, but Barcelona is on the top right of Spain. On the right here, people call this city Gaudi in Barcelona, with a big Sagrada Familia right in the middle. Antoni Gaudi is the most influential architect ever in Barcelona. He does many public parks. He's been creating Sagrada Familia, which is one of the biggest churches in the world since I think 1880s. He died in 1923, but Barcelona as a city decided to continue his work and to continue Sagrada Familia. It's supposed to be done in 2026. This is another one of Gaudi's artworks. This is currently at Park Wall. This is one of the most impressive public parks in the world. A perfect view of the city right there. Sagrada Familia is the biggest point right there in the center of the city. This was intended for a 60-person reservation. And this is FC Barcelona. FC Barcelona represents Barcelona, and Real Madrid actually represents Spain as a nation. Catalan with Barcelona represents all their chants in the crowd are usually political and usually against the government. Right now on the right, we have a street sign right here at Las Ramblas, which is one of the biggest streets in Barcelona. On the left, it's pointing towards La Boqueria, which is most handmade food, drinks, smoothies, unique cultured handmade food. Just like a little shop that goes around. It's probably like a mile in diameter around. And right next to Market La Boqueria is Plaza de Catalunya. I'm tying Plaza de Catalunya right here, the square with fountains, because it connects with FC Barcelona. Back in the day, before technology, they used to share all the scores. The first person to find out scores would run to Plaza de Catalunya to tell all the Colombians the scores. Right here is El Corte Inglés, which is another attraction right now. It's one of the biggest department stores in Barcelona and Madrid. Actually, on the top floor, it's a huge food market, which I personally love. And right here is all around the beach with different attractions. The zoo, the aquarium, and the nightlife is unbelievable. Right there on the top left, you see the W Barcelona, with a lot of tourists and a lot of public and famous figures have been there. And it's great to go there in the day, and I would definitely recommend everyone go and visit and see Barcelona when you can. Thanks for listening.
Am I reviewing two people? Because I'm on here twice.
Oh. You know, like I've said all semester, I'm good but not great.
I mean, I can. Makes things easier.
I don't. Who's missing? Well. Is it? No.
You just had me
Is there anyone who is not currently assigned to be a reviewer? Is everybody's name is up once for reviewer? In that case, Sam, if you don't mind. Did I have to repeat?
I think no, because I'm looking at the list the way you did it, and it's just like between me and Nick. There's like, so you just double my name.
I don't even know. It should have. I mean, it should have been a one-to-one reviewer thing, but I.
Maybe Stephanie.
Oh, you know what? Yes, I think that's what it was. But she's substituting for Jordan, who I do. Okay, thank you. Okay, hold. Almost there. CC up, Sarah. You're ready to do the evaluation. Everybody else is set. Phones out of sight, please. Thank you. Sorry, hang on just 1 second. Whenever you're set.
Hi everyone, my name is Cici, and today I will introduce my topic, cat psychology and behavior to you. I chose this topic because I have 2 kittens, and I want to study deeply in this subject. After all, have any of you ever had a cat? If you ever had a cat, you may know it's very sweet. Cats are loved and well-known animals, and you can see this background was painted by my friend for my kitten. In Western contemporary societies, cats are arguably large among popular animals. In farms, cats' immense talent of catching and controlling damage by rodents has been appreciated for decades. Cat sensation and perception in the field has been paid much attention when studying cats. Rearing also significantly influences cat sensation. This interval indicates that poor cat rearing may pose significant stress on cats' perceptual ability in later adult lives. Okay, let's talk about cats' voice recognition. Don't get me wrong, whenever I try to touch my cat's head, she will jump up to me and put her head on my hands. Cats can easily differentiate different humans. For example, every time I call her, she would run towards me and scream. Okay, and attachment. An attachment in this context is clearly related to the animal with an individual. The level of distress can clearly related to the level of attachment the cat is to the owner or an individual. Researchers and various cat owners attest that the few cats have definite personalities. Personality in cats can be defined as a prolonged state where their behavioral patterns are consistent and their lives can easily be influenced by various circumstances. For example, one of my cat is very clingy and the other one is almost sedentary. Cats usually express their emotions through different postures, like when they're angry, they're just lying on their belly or just sitting. If they're walking, their backs are usually horizontal. And I prepared a video for you about the angry postures. The tail wiggles violently. You can see. This one is my first kitten, Kanai, and this one is Junju. Yeah, you can see the tail wiggles violently. She didn't like it. Just like this. Do you want to see more picture of my kittens? Both of them is.
That's a great question.
Research on cat psychology, behavior, and cognitive behavior has been on for decades. However, there's still a long way for us because there's a lot of questions unanswered and are largely unexplored. If you want to see more picture, you can come to see me. I can show you. Thank you for listening to my presentation. I hope you like it.
Let's see pictures of my cat, and then just goes ahead and does it. Let's go. That was funny.
Good job, guys.
Very nice job embedding a video within one of your slides to sort of go on its own. That was terrific. Let me make one quick thought, and everybody can probably benefit from this. You did a nice job trying to hook people at the beginning with a question about the cats, who's had a cat or who likes cats. One suggestion and a reminder that's a great way to try to get a hook and to get people engaged. But don't forget to get an answer. You kind of just said, "Did anybody have a cat? If so, you know, da 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 da." I would come in. How many? Show of hands. How many people have a cat? Really? Then you probably know what I know, and then whatever. Or if nobody's had a cat, say, "Really? You don't know what you're missing. Let me tell you what you're missing." You know, and kind of go that way. Get the answer. Get them in, and then I think you can. Then you really effectively use the question as a hook. Make sense? But that was very good. Good job overall. Okay, so let's see. Ray's next, and Kieran, right, is ready to do the critique? Okay, terrific. Whenever you are set.
Well, hello everyone, I'm Ray Hometown. Today I want to talk something about the power of food. I know it's nighttime, everybody is hungry, but it's a good topic. We need food every single day. We need 3 meals at least, right? Everybody loves food like me. And we all know that different country has their own style of food. Well, if I mention India, what do you guys think? Spices and curries, right? It looks so good. Look at the picture. It's a chicken curry over rice. Are you hungry when you see this picture? Right. Or if I mention another country, Japan, what do you guys think? You might think about sushi and sashimi because Japan is a country right next to the sea. They have fresh seafood. I got a chance been to Osaka last summer with my mom. That's the picture took by me from the Moki Ichimashi market. It's really good market. They have a lot of fresh fish, and I really recommended you guys to go there. But do you guys know food has magical power that can bring people together? Think about this. If your friend have an argument, you try to think a way to apologize to her, and yeah, you know, you go find some good restaurant you like. Bring her to the restaurant, everything will be solved. That was really happened to me and my mom when we were in Tokyo. We have a small argument because, yeah, I wake up late and she's yelling at me. And the way I found out is bring her to a sushi restaurant. And that's her face after we get up the restaurant. Very nice smell. And how many of you guys heard about Chinese hot pot? Hot pot. You like it? Right? It's really popular food. A lot of people really love it. And hot pot can easily bring people together because you're sharing food. And look at this picture. It looks spicy, right? But I can tell you, it's really, really good. Think about this. You can have a hot pot with your friends in a restaurant or in your workplace. Of course, if your boss allows you to do that. Or even here in Syracuse, in your dorm. You can have a hot pot party with your friends. And after you guys sharing the food, after you guys sharing the story, you will realize you guys become way much closer. And a couple of weeks before, I watched a show on Netflix, and the show is called The Final Table. The Final Table is a show about a group of chefs from different countries, different nations, and they try to compete for star and making iconic food for 9 different nations. This show is really, really impressed me because it tells you a lot of story behind the food. And it's a good show, highly recommended. Hope you guys can share the show and sharing the food with your friends because I really think that the food is so powerful that can bring you and your friends become closer. That's my Pecha Kucha presentation. Thank you guys for listening.
Okay, Lynn, you're ready to review? Thank you. Whenever you're ready, Tia.
What is the American dream? According to the American dream, if you work hard enough, anyone could succeed. You could succeed, you could succeed, I can succeed, but is this really true? Low-income students in New York City have a hard time succeeding, and therefore the American dream is just that, just a dream for them. In New York City, there's roughly 1,700 public high schools, 1.1 million students, and a budget of $25 billion. This may seem like a lot of money, but the money is not distributed equally. Some schools get more, some schools get less. And the schools that get less tend to live in poor neighborhoods. And as a result, you have overcrowded classrooms, run-down buildings, and schools that have no money. Schools with no money means no basketball teams, no football teams, no gateways to college. This is a real issue in low-income neighborhoods. The harsh reality is that you can't do it. Society tells you you can do it, but you can't. And part of the reason why you can't do it is because institutions are put in place to keep you where you are. They want you to stay in the same social status that you were born in. And I know it may not seem fair, but that's just the truth. There's roughly 1.7 million people living in poverty, and these are parents of the 1.1 million students in school. And as you can see, these people tend to be people of color, so their children are people of color, and people of color are less likely to go to good colleges. And it's crazy because the way to succeed is to go to college. They tell you if you get a degree, you'll be successful, but if you can't afford to go to college, then it's not in your path, and you're stuck with going to schools such as like community college, but that's just really high school 2.0, and it won't really get you far in life to be a better person. So in reality, this whole American dream is just a lie. The place where we live in is technically a lie land. The government has little to no interest in the success of minorities, and certain groups are preferred over other groups, despite the fact that they were born in the United States. So achieving the American dream is almost impossible. Now don't be confused. They'll tell you that there's programs such as HOP, EOP, programs that offer full scholarships, but these programs tend to offer accept only like 10 to 100 students. And if there's 1.1 million students in New York City, how can everyone get a scholarship if it's only accepting a limited amount of numbers? So then the American dream becomes like, for some people, there's like a whole vast ocean between us, and you're trying to be let in, but then they're like, you can't sit with us, you can't get the American dream, and it's all because you're a minority. And that's just a sad reality of it. And this is just my works cited page of all the pictures that I used. So yeah, that's my tidbit on the American dream. Thank you.
Do you have an extra one of these?
There should have been printed out. There were enough to accommodate even your two. Are there any? Thank you.
Would you also like my completed?
That's fine. Sure. That's fine. If you have completed one, we're just going to hand it back to each student at the end. Thank you. Okay, Ethan, you're ready to do the review for this one, right? Okay, thank you. Stephanie, are you ready? Okay, all yours.
So hi, my name is Stephanie Reed. So tea is an important part of my morning routine. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I turn on my kettle and I make some tea. So tea is a drink that is infused by dried fresh leaves of the tea plant. And the origin of tea is still yet not known, but is believed to have originated in northeast India and southwest China. However, the harvesting and sale of tea began hundreds of years ago in China. So tea and coffee. Tea and coffee are both known for their physical, mental, and emotional benefits. But personally, I prefer drinking tea because it tastes better than coffee, in my opinion, and it's used as a way to promote relaxation. So after a long day of dealing with classes, going home and drinking tea gives me a way to unwind. So tea is presented in two different forms, iced tea and hot tea. So iced tea is any tea that's been cooled or refrigerated and is usually served in a glass with ice. And hot tea is prepared by pouring hot water over the tea pan and leaving it for it. So you should drink tea because it's healthier than any wine and beer. And it also has many health benefits.
and these benefits include curing coughs and colds, maintaining the proper kidney health, relieving stress, promoting flawless skin, smoothing stomach issues, etc. There are also many different types of tea. The many different types of tea include white tea, black tea, peppermint tea, ginger tea, lemon tea, and they each have their own benefits. For example, green tea is known for improving brain functions and weight loss, whereas peppermint tea is known for improving digestion and black tea is known for preventing anxiety and headaches. Ginger tea is known for reducing bloating, sore throat, upset stomachs. Lemon tea is known for cleansing the liver, especially toxins, and white tea is known for relieving stress. So personally, I like drinking tea because growing up in a Jamaican household, it's always been a part of my culture. So when I'm sick, my mom would usually give me tea, or before I go to school, I drink tea. When I come back, I drink tea. So drinking tea after long day classes brings me comfort and reminds me of home. So, thank you.
You never get jitters until you lock it up, you know?
Bella, you ready to review? Thank you.
Nope, that's not what I need to click. Nope, I need to click
Do-
enable editing,
yeah.
then we can do that. There you go. Yes, no, yes, no. Oh, shit, come on. Okay, what we're gonna do is we're just gonna click it, and that's when we're gonna start, okay?
Whenever you're ready.
Alright. So, hi, my name is Sam Bullen. So for this presentation, Professor Wenner told us to essentially talk about something that we're super passionate about, so I decided to start with my first passion, the Beatles. Now let me start and kind of paint a picture for you. John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Pete Best are the biggest of all the British bands playing in Hamburg, Germany in the early 1960s. They look like greasers and play the loud, raunchy rock music that was popular at the time. But it wasn't really until English socialite manager Brian Epstein signed the band in the early 1960s that the band would begin their climb as the greatest band of all time. Now in 1962, back in England, they kind of gave the boot to their old drummer Pete Best in favor of who was considered the best drummer in Liverpool, a man named Ringo Starr. I would also see the transformation of the dress from the leather jackets that we saw on the last slide to the kind of like the suits that they're known for today. Playing small clubs all around England, John, Paul, George, and Ringo were preparing to be what would be a very short but prosperous career. 1963 saw them touring not only around the UK but also around all of Europe as the band's popularity grew among young audiences. Now this was the beginning of what you would call Beatlemania, and it was kind of settling as the band was skyrocketing in fame with their first two albums, Please Please Me and With the Beatles. With some recordings under the belts, the Beatles were prepared to take on the juggernaut known as America. With the success of their first American #1 single, I Want to Hold Your Hand, the Beatles embarked on their first major tour of the United States. Their appearance on the Ed Sullivan Show made them a household name all over the country, and soon Beatlemania took over all of America. 1964 also saw the release of their next two records, A Hard Day's Night and Beatles for Sale, as well as their first appearance on the silver screen in the film version of A Hard Day's Night. 1965 was also a very definitive year for the band. Not only would the Beatles release two more records in Help and Rubber Soul being actually my favorite, and also another film in Help, they would embark on what was at the time the largest stadium tour of any musical artist ever. This is done playing at Shea Stadium in New York City, probably one of their most well-known performances. Beatlemania actually kind of finally hit its peak this year. Wouldn't really last for long. 1966, the times were changing, so were the Beatles. After extensive touring and promotion of their albums and films, the band really kind of was done with the same old, same old. It was the first year John, Paul, George, and Ringo had decided to really kind of take the idea of touring and put it on the back burner so they could attempt to kind of experiment with their music. Revolver was the only album that they released this year, and it was kind of a good precursor to 1967. This year would be extremely drastic changes to the band with exposure to mind-altering drugs as well as the changing climate around them. The band would release two albums, Magical Mystery Tour and Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band picture here. This would also see the band change in wardrobe, obviously not the black suits anymore, now kind of doing the whole colorful wardrobe, that kind of garb, which I think is awesome. 1968 would see the release of the White Album, which is kind of a 2-disc or 4-sided record, depending on who you're talking to. Behemoth, that in my mind kind of showcases the best songwriting and instrumentation that they've ever released. The year would also see the introduction of Yoko Ono into the life of John Lennon, who kind of would end up bringing him kind of away from the band, that kind of gave him a start. And then in 1969 and 1970, the same year that the Americans would land on the moon was kind of unfortunately the last year the Beatles would ever record music. Releasing both Yellow Submarine and Abbey Road, the Beatles would drive further and further apart creatively when it came to recording music. It wasn't actually until April of 1970 that John would be the first to leave the band, bringing an end to the band that has been cited as one of the most influential music groups of all time. Thank you.
Yes, Sarah.
I forgot you were excited. So could I by chance make a document and send it to you later?
That I do.
Well, good. It's hard to answer in great depth at the moment because we're just about to start. But yes, overall, great depth. I think you could even slow down a little bit. A little bit. Like I got the sense we're just trying to squeeze 21 seconds worth of copy into each slide, and it was a constant. So I would slow down the pace a little bit, but I'll give you more feedback when I get a chance to do it. But overall, though, I think you made improvements on the graffiti. Still more to go, but you made improvements, and there were places where you caught yourself. I think that where I thought you were headed, and so you're good steps. Okay, sorry, Nick. To keep Jason, you ready to go? Thank you. All right, whenever you're set, Nick.
How do I make this boy a joke?
Yep, or just the F5 key will do it.
Okay, a lot of us have asked the question, what is Buddhism? I'd like to get to know more about Buddhism. Well, you're in luck because you're about to. Who was the Buddha? The Buddha was born in northern India, and it's disputed exactly where and when. And he was born to a very wealthy family, and he's depicted as having a lump on his head when he's an infant. The Buddha's life, okay? He's very rich. One day he wakes up and he says, I'm gonna take a horse, I'm gonna leave this great palace, and I'm gonna go on a little trip. He sees a sick man, a dead man, and an old man. It changes his life, and he spends the rest of his life being a missionary and spreading his religion. Here are some core texts and principles of Buddhism. Here we have the symbol for karma, which is all the good and the bad that you've done in your past life. And here we have the symbol for dharma, which is kind of represents the Eightfold Path and kind of the teachings of Buddha and compassion. And here are the different sects of Buddhism. In the red, we have the first and most conservative, Theravada, and then we have Mahayana in the yellow, and that's China and Japan. And in the orange, we have Vajrayana, which is in Tibet, based in Tibet. Theravada Buddhism. Theravada Buddhism, you'll find this in Indochina, and it relies heavily on the Buddha's life and his texts. And another one about this, if you guys go to any temples in Thailand or Laos or places like that, this is what you'll find. Mahayana Buddhism. This Buddhism is found in China and Japan, and the difference between this and the last one is that they developed new sutras after, many years after the Buddha's death. They found a bunch of texts that kind of had a new layer on Buddhism. And speaking of a new layer on a new layer of Buddhism, Vajrayana is the third incarnation of the major sects of Buddhism. And this is based in Tibet, and you have the Dalai Lama, and you also have just the introduction of, again, new texts and key principles and things like that. The Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama was originally based in Tibet. But when China absorbed Tibet, he moved to the south and he now stays in India. An interesting fact about the Dalai Lama, he states that he doesn't know if there's going to be a reincarnation of him after his death. And lastly, I'd just like you guys to think about what are some ways that Buddhism affects our daily life outside of the religion. We have yoga, we have meditation. These things derive from Buddhism, but are they completely devoid of religion? And that'll be it for me today. Oh, it was like on the content. He gave us a featured topic.
Stephanie, you ready to review? Thank you very much. Alrighty, can we put phones and screens down, please? Thank you.
Jordan's reviewing for me, but he's leaving.
Yes, Stephanie's going to do it. That's it. Okay? You're covered.
Okay, start.
Yes, Eddie, whenever you're ready.
Hi everyone, my name is Yu. Today I want to introduce a very popular phone application in China. It's called WeChat. So imagine there's an app. It combines all the great features of all other popular apps. For example, you can chat with your friends or make group chat just like Messenger can do, and also can share your current status by posting photos or short videos just like Facebook. And you can send or receive money just like PayPal can do for you. It sounds great enough, right? But actually there's a lot more cool features. What about ordering delivery food, or shopping online, or even booking hotels, and maybe traffics like flights or trains, just within this one single app? That is WeChat I'm talking about. It's a multi-purpose social media and messaging and online payment application developed by Tencent. And it was first released in 2011, and the monthly active user is surpassing 1 billion last year. You can see here are 2 pictures. Which in 2018 is past 1 billion per month, and it is right now the 5th biggest social media application in the world. And I want to talk about some cool features. This is the tab. After you press this little button, and you here are a lot of like common features that other messaging applications can do, but red packet and location are 2 special ones. You can share your current location with your friends. Just click share location button. And it is very convenient if you don't know where your friend is. And here is another tab, it's called Me tab. And the most important function is WeChat Pay. It's like Apple Pay or it's like Apple Pay. But after you click in this tab, there's a lot of things you can do within WeChat Pay. And here are many functions powered by Tencent itself, and some are powered by third-party operators. For example, you can pay for your like heat fee or even water using this application. And here is a very common picture about how to use WeChat Pay in real life scenario. You just scan the QR code of the store, and you can input any amount of money. It's very convenient. And thank you. This is WeChat.
TC, you ready to review? Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Felipe, and I'm going to be talking to you about a little bit of Neymar's life and a little bit of his story, his early life, and his current. Alright, so Neymar da Silva Júnior Santos was born in São Paulo to his dad Neymar Sr. He got his name from his father, who was a former footballer, and he became his son's advisor as Neymar's talents began to grow. He actually grew up in a very poor city in São Paulo, and soccer was his only way out, and becoming a future star was what gave him his role. Neymar made his professional debut on March 7, 2009. Despite being only 17 years old, he was brought on for the last 30 minutes of the game in a 2-1 victory, so he didn't really accomplish anything in the game, but it gave him a little taste of what the game is supposed to be like. The following week, he scored his first goal for Santos against Mojimirim, which is a very small team. Only 2 years after his debut, Real Madrid was already looking into him. That shows that he was a very big player already. Santos club president Luis Ribeiro threatened to report Real Madrid following they had attempted to sign Neymar to a pre-contract agreement, which is not allowed in soccer. You know, ask the player first, let him know, but they didn't. They just contacted him right away, offered a lot of money, and that is very illegal, and you can get a lot of trouble for that. In 2012, he won the South American Footballer of the Year, retaining his award and winning it ahead of Ronaldinho. He's a legend for Brazil, and everyone around the world knows him. It was reported that in 2011, Santos reached an agreement with Barcelona to sign him at a later stage. However, Neymar rejected it in an interview. In 2013, Neymar was presented at the Camp Nou, which is Barcelona's home stadium, in front of 56,000 fans. That is a record turnout for a Brazilian player at Barcelona. The club vice president, José Maria Bartomeu, said that Neymar's transfer fee was €57 million, which in fact, that is not true and ended up being more, so they got embezzlement in taxes. On April 2nd, 2017, Neymar scored his 100th goal for Barcelona in his 177th appearance. He scored 2 goals in a 4-1 over Granada on May 27th. For his 105th goal for the club in Barcelona, they defeated Alaves, which is another team that plays in the Spanish league. In August 27th, Barcelona announced that Neymar legal representatives made a payment of €222 million to the club, equal to the release clause of his contract, which is a lot of money. It was the most expensive transfer fee in football history, and it still is, and he is standing as the most expensive soccer player to ever play the game. This is in 2012. He scored the game-winning penalty kick against Germany. He actually scored the first goal of the game in the 27th minute, and later in the second half, another German player scored 1-1, which equalized it, and they went to penalties, and Neymar scored the final goal. A little bit about his charity side. He actually has his own facility in São Paulo, which is this whole place here. It has a school, a soccer field. He obviously teaches kids how to play soccer, get out of the impoverished areas, and just focus more on the soccer in school instead of being out in the streets. So not only is he a fantastic soccer player, made all his money the right way, he also helps his community as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great question. Do we have any
No, not the ones you got. If they've already gone to you, great. These are just going to be given to everybody before they leave tonight. So you walk out with some immediate feedback from peers. Ray, are you ready to review? Terrific. Sarah, are you all set?
As I'll ever be.
Can't wait to go?
Something like that. Okay. So, by all means, I am not a scientist, but I am a huge cookie enthusiast, as well as probably a lot of people in this room. If you haven't tried a cookie before, I'm so sorry. But we're going to dive into the science behind cookies because it's super interesting. And it really all starts in the oven. That's where the magic happens. It first happens when the oven hits 92 degrees. A cookie will actually, or the base of the cookie, the butter, actually will melt at this temperature, which causes the whole entire cookie to melt. And at this point, if you look in the oven, it's pretty deceiving because it looks like it's going to fall apart. Probably cookies are touching each other at this point. You're like, there's no way it's going to reach its final form. But that's where the egg comes in at 136 degrees and actually solidifies, so that it works as like a binding component, where the egg whites usually make a cookie that's more tall because it's more fluffy, and the yolk is more dense, so it goes for a more fudgy kind of feel for the cookie. But jumping from there to 212 degrees, at this point, a lot of the water is evaporating and there's steam coming out of the cookie. And so your cookie is becoming a lot more dry, but we don't want a dry cookie, so baking soda, not powder, comes in, works with the acids, and retains some of the moisture and actually raises the dough. But beyond that kind of white powder, this is the cocaine of cookies, the sugar, of course, usually a mix of granulated and brown sugar. It goes through a reaction that's called the Maillard reaction, where the proteins and sugars start to break down at this temperature, creating those warm tastes and everything that are so good about cookies. But most importantly, it is so important that you add salt to your cookies, no chemistry behind it, but you don't want a cookie that is too sweet, so I thought I'd put that note in there. You gotta have that balance of salt and sugar, so it's just right. And now, right when you think your cookies are done and you can pull it out of the oven, you're wrong because it still has to go through caramelization, which occurs at 356 degrees. Now in this process, the sugars are boiling down and becoming hard, which causes it to create that caramel note that makes the cookies even more better than anything you can imagine. But so after that, you are finally ready to pull out your cookies. They're all done, looking good, hopefully. But the most important thing that you need to know about when making cookies is the measuring is so important. You need to make sure that your ingredients are so close cut to what they need to be, because as you can see, each ingredient is so important, and if you don't go to the exact ingredients, there will be such a variety, which could be good, but bad if you're going for one thing and you end up getting another thing. So now you have the knowledge of all these different ingredients behind a cookie, and I don't know what you're going to do with that knowledge. Hopefully you're going to make some cookies that are more personalized, but yeah, it's powerful. Thank you.
Okay. Two more, ladies and gentlemen. You're ready to review? Thank you. So what's your verdict on the sheet? You tried the sheet?
I did not use it at all.
Once.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, there was one
Once
thing I
toward
did
the
not
end
know how to respond
to get back on. Okay, but mostly not. You're right. You didn't.
Yeah,
Okay.
I was thinking. Yeah, no. Just
Was it easier to refer to than, say, a card would have been at that point to retrieve what you were looking for? I'm just wondering.
Yeah, well, there was just like one thing it's a hard word, so I circled it, and that's literally the only thing I looked at.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like I knew beforehand I was gonna forget it, so.
Playing devil's advocate. How about just writing the word on a sheet and putting it in front of you? Did you need the whole paragraph?
I didn't look at it at all. Yeah.
Okay.
That was the only thing
I'm just curious.
But I didn't like it because I was flipping it around a lot. I didn't like
Okay. Well, I know you wanted to experiment with it to see how it went, so I'm glad you had the chance to do that. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. And Tia's set, so whenever you're set.
Alright. Hi guys, I'm Kieran. I'm here to talk to you about one of my role models. So, who here recognizes these two characters? Famous movie. Can anybody in the audience name them out for me? Just yell it out.
Karate Kid.
Karate Kid, right? Young Ralph Macchio, this man is his sensei. He sees him as a mentor and a personal role model. I found mine when, I want to say it was 2008. I live in New York City. I went to Madison Square Garden and I got to see the Cleveland Cavaliers play against the Knicks. And to be fair, at this time, the Knicks sucked. But I found my role model, and it was LeBron James. He absolutely destroyed us, probably scored at least 30, had a triple-double, and I fell in love. This made me follow basketball, and obviously once I was exposed to him, as anybody else would, they started to do research, and I found out about this phenom who, even when he was 16 years old, people knew he would be the next star. These were all taken in high school, and he was on a huge cover of Slam, which is like a big basketball magazine, and people knew he was going to be a big thing ever since then. So because I had fallen in love with him, I basically one of those people who's a LeBron bandwagon. I followed him ever since he was drafted in Cleveland, and then left in late 2000, I think it was 2010, 2011. He went to the Heat in Miami to team up and make the big three with Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade, and won a couple of championships there. Came back to Cleveland, and now he's at the Lakers. So this is just a picture of some of his great accolades. He's got gold medals, MVPs, championships, all-team NBA, all-stars, stuff like that. And that just shows how great of a player he is. And as Jason earlier presented, that he possibly could be the GOAT. In my opinion, he is. Another LeBron fan. These are just some of the stats to prove it. 4th all-time in points, 10th all-time in assists, a bunch of other stats. Like he has the best plus-minus of any player to play in basketball history. He won Sportsman of the Year for 3 different things in the same year. Like, that's kind of crazy to me that so many people just admired him that year, and he had such a great impact. But these are just some of his accolades and accomplishments on the court. This is a school, it's called the I Promise School, that he actually personally funded, and in coordination with the Akron Public Schools, made a school for low-income students to basically go in and do their best, which this past year, actually 95% of the students met or exceeded their goals for the beginning of the year. And this is just a picture with his family after he won the All-Star MVP game this past year. And that's Bronny Jr. Hopefully they can play together. But yeah, he's been a great family man. Throughout his career, he's never had problems with drugs or anything like that, like no disloyalty, nothing. He's seen as a role model to many other players, and especially myself. This is just him after his famous celebration. Like, obviously a lot of people recognize it. And yeah, he's inspired me. I modeled my game after him, and have taken a lot from what he does in his personal life, on and off the court. Yeah, to be a better person. So thank you for listening to my presentation about LeBron James.
So who would win in a one-on-one?
What's up?
Who would win in a one-on-one?
Me or LeBron?
Yeah.
I'd like to say me, but I know he's destroying me. Oh.
Got a slight advantage, height advantage, maybe. All right. Last but not least tonight, Lynn, Sam, you've agreed to review. Terrific. Screens down, phones away for one last one, please, folks. Lynn, whenever you're set.
Good evening, everyone, and I'm Lynn, and being the last and means being the best. So I'll introduce Pokemon Go. How many of you has downloaded the game since the beginning, like July? Okay, great. But I've not actually downloaded that since last year, so I started to get addicted to Pokemon Go last year. And there are, based off my research, there are top 9 most popular Pokemons in this game. And the first one is, the number 9 is Lugia. and it's a legendary Pokemon, and it's not the one you want to catch, and you will encounter, and you have to go find a gym and win the raid to be able to catch the Pokemon. And if you are lucky enough, you will have the chance to catch a shiny Lugia, and which is different from the one blue. And the number 8 is Mew, and there are 7 steps to catching Mew, but you will guaranteed to catch one if you finish all those steps. First 5 steps are very easy, but when you get to step 6, 7, and it's very hard to finish, and it will take a longer time to do it. And the number 7 is Mewtwo, and personally I prefer Mew because that one looks better. And this one is even harder to catch and even harder to mine. So that's why people want Mewtwo more, people want Mewtwo badly because it's not available to everyone. And the next one is Gongar, and there's the evolution, and the first level is the Ghastly, and if you catch this and you have 25 candies, you can evolve to Hunter. And if you have 100 candy, you can evolve to Gongar, but you can always catch a Hunter itself, so you can save more candy. And the next one is Eevee, and there are 7 different types of evolution, and there are Water, Electronic, Fire, Dark, Grass, Fairy, Ice, Cyclic. And the strategy to get the one you want, just enter the name before you click evolve. So the next one is Jellypop, but personally I like this one better because it look cuter, and there are also 3 levels of evolution, and it will take less candy for this one to get to the 3rd level. It will only take 50 candies. And the 3rd one is a Squirtle. It's a water type turtle, and if you go near to ocean or sea, and you will have a higher chance to catch it. And there are also 3 evolutions, and Squirtle, Blastos. And the second most popular is Charmander, and I don't know why you have a higher chance to match Charmander if you go near to a forest. And there's a special event that you can catch shiny Charmander one time, and the shiny one is black. So people want that one better than this one, but I think this one looks better because it's colorful. And no surprise, number 1 is Pikachu, and the first level is Pichu, and the 3rd level is Rachel. And because there's different special events, so you can catch different, that is for summer, and those are, you can go battle a raid to get the special Rachel. And thank you.